Welcome to the 5 Minute Habits for Moms podcast. I am your host, Tanya Werfs. Last week, we talked about how 5 Minute Habits can help you. Today, we are going to talk about what 5 Minute Habits actually are. Did you know you can live a simple, organized, joyful life partnered with God, even in a busy and chaotic world? If you are willing to slow down with me, I will show you how small and simple steps can help you create an amazing life you love living in through the power of 5 Minute Habits. If you want to stay in touch throughout the week, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at 5 Minute Habits for Moms. Let's get started. When I first started staying home with my kids a little over 16 years ago, I remember thinking throughout the day, I would take a pause and I would sit down and read a magazine or read my scriptures, and that I would have these little moments of peace and it would flow really smoothly. That is not what happened at all. It was constant craziness. And it was because I did not know how to govern myself. I did not know how to stop and pause or how to have boundaries. And it was really hard for a really long time. What I've learned over the years is that I need to be really intentional. What I have developed are these 5 minute habits, and what I'm going to show you today is what they actually are. So we're going to start with some tangible things like cleaning out your closet 5 minutes at a time. I did a reel that's on my Instagram about cleaning out my closet 5 minutes at a time. And it was really cool because what I learned through this experience is that I can just set my timer, come into my closet and spend 5 minutes. 5 minutes is long enough to get something done, but it's also easy to squeeze in. So over like a 2 week period and 5 minute chunks, and I didn't even do it every single day, I was able to get my closet organized, and it was amazing. It didn't even feel like I did anything extra. Like normally that would be a Saturday project, right? And it was so easy and it felt so good to be able to accomplish that. I don't always have a project like that going. Sometimes there are seasons of life where there's other things that take precedence, like summertime. I have been more focused on my kids and getting into a regular daily cleaning schedule, but I love cleaning things like this 5 minutes at a time. You can also break down a chore 5 minutes at a time. And it's also relative to where you are in your life. If you have really little kids or a brand new baby at home, you've got to break things down small, probably even less than 5 minutes. Like, let's say you're unloading the dishwasher, right? And you want to do that whole process from start to finish. I get it. You want to unload, you want to wash all the big dishes, you want to wash the counter off. When you got little people that need you, you're probably not going to be able to do that all at once. So you've got to learn to pause and stop and know that it's okay, that you can come right back around to it later whenever you are ready. So if I was doing the dishes, I would maybe get as much done as I could in a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes. Maybe I can get a whole 5 minutes in, and maybe I can get it all unloaded, and then I can come back and I can load it. I don't know that I did this back then, but now that's what I would do. I would break it down into these smaller chunks. And what that's going to do is it's going to help you have peace. You're going to feel like you accomplished what you meant to. When you plan to get it all done at one time and you overwhelm yourself, then when you don't, you feel like you didn't do enough, right? But when your enough is reasonable, then you're going to be able to accomplish that, and it's going to feel good, and you're going to be able to have that integrity with yourself. It's amazing. Do you ever walk into a room and it's just getting on your nerves and you're like, I cannot stand it. I can't be in this room. I know for me, I like my space to be neat and tidy. If I were to walk into a room and it had like way too much stuff going on, then what I would do, if I had the bandwidth to be patient about it and my kids were there, I would ask them to get it cleaned up by a certain time. What I used to do is come home from work or whatever, and I would just get into this controlling mode and want everything done like right this minute. And that wasn't serving my relationship with my children very well. So now If I can wait, I'll give them the option to get this done by a certain time. Like, before we have dinner, can you please get this room cleaned up? If I don't have the bandwidth for that, and I don't think I can be nice in doing that, what I'll do is I have a basket in my living room and I have one in my kitchen. And if all this stuff is getting on my nerves, I'll just do kind of a clean sweep, and I will pick up their things and put them into these baskets, and they know that. So if they are looking for something that they've left out, they know to go look in these baskets. And this way I'm not nitpicking, I'm not griping all the time. And if things are way out of control, just set the timer for 5 minutes. Do what you can in 5 minutes. The goal is to be able to have your space so that in 5 minutes you can get it to where it's not bringing you anxiety to be in that room. 5-minute habits are also things like morning routines and evening routines. This is something that I teach in my 6-week course, and I love them. They have served me so well. For about a year and a half, I have been really faithful in my morning and evening routines, and they have grown. My morning routine, typically I'm going to spend an hour, hour and a half in the morning, but that's not how I started, and that's not reasonable for everybody's stage of life. My kids are a little bit older now, and I get up early to do this, and it works for me, but sometimes it's shorter. This morning, my morning routine was shorter, and I went back to sleep for a little while. But having that morning routine where I am praying, I'm connecting with God, I'm in the Word of God, I am journaling and working through things, and I'm meditating, I'm taking some deep breaths. I am sometimes memorizing different scriptures so that I have those to draw upon throughout the day. And it makes all the difference. But starting small is the best way to do this, starting with 5 minutes or even less than 5 minutes. And even as you work your way up to more, that you can always go back to that 5 minutes. You want to have your ceiling and your floor. Your ceiling, that's your top goal. And even once you work your way up to that, there might be times that you're going to go back down to that 5-minute time frame so that you can just at least start your day with God before you get on your phone, preferably before you are engaging with kids or anybody else. It's okay if you can't do that at first, but this is so important, and it takes practice. It really takes accountability. That's why we work on this in my 6-week jumpstart group, because it is so easy to not do it. So this is one of my favorite quotes. It says, "For things to get better, you've got to get better. It's easy to do, but it's easy not to do too." That was Jeff Olson from The Slight Edge. And that was one of the very first personal growth books that I read years and years ago. And it has served me so well, because what I've learned is that if I don't slow down and take it little by little, that makes it really easy not to do. But if I'm like, okay, 5 minutes, I can do it in 5 minutes, then mentally I can talk myself into it. Another thing that is one of my favorite 5-minute habits is your evening routine. And this is about bookending your day with God. You start out your day with God, and then you end your day with God in this evening routine. And some of my favorite things in an evening routine are prayer, reading a devotional book, and writing in a 5-minute journal. Excuse me, it's not a 5-minute journal, it's a 5-year journal. So in the 5-year journal, what you're doing is you are writing down like 2 or 3 things that were important that happened that day. It can be gratitude, it can be events. Like yesterday, we went fishing and swimming, and then we went bowling. So those were things that I wrote in my 5-year journal. And I love it. I've been doing it for over a year now. So what you do is you write one thing every day, and on the one page, there is room for 5 years. So now, as I'm going through my 2nd year, I am seeing the things that happened last year, and it is so fun. And it's relationship building. It's something that I am creating for my posterity that they are going to love having. There's like a million different ones on Amazon. They are awesome. Okay, some other things that you can do with 5-minute habits is your exercise. I love 5-minute yoga videos, 5-minute Pilates videos. You can do your own thing in 5 minutes, or you could even start smaller than that. With exercise, I started with like 2 minutes, and I would do some push-ups and some squats and waist burners in like 2 minutes. So just starting small and building your way up. Even with food changes, you can start by adding in those good things and just start little by little. It's basically any habit that you want to build. You're just making it small enough that you can be consistent in it, that you can say, okay, I can do this. And I'm still learning how to do this right now. I am learning how to do this with my finances. They felt so big and overwhelming, like making the changes that I need to. And I'm learning how to break that down into smaller things so that we can have this financial freedom, so that we can live freely within abundance. And making it small makes all the difference. One of the most important things with 5-minute habits is partnering with God in everything that you do. And it's not something that's going to happen immediately. It's something that takes time. It takes practice. It takes learning how to pause. But I love to do this through breathing and praying. I love to do this through doing creative things like watercoloring. I have just in this last month started getting really good at watercoloring in these small little chunks. I love doing it. For years, I would say, oh, I love to read and I love to paint and I love to do yoga. But I felt like such a fake because I wasn't doing those things. I was like, I love to do these things, but I don't actually do them. And so by learning to break them down into these small chunks, I am actually doing them. For years, watercoloring is something I've wanted to do, but it felt like, oh, I'm going to have to mix up all my colors. And by the time I do that, I'm just not going to even have any time to paint. If you want to break something down and you don't know what to do, pray about it. And God will give you an idea so that you can break it down small enough that you can do it consistently. And what he did was help me see all I need to do is have my paints ready to go, a jar of water, a paper towel, and my paint brushes, have those in a place that's convenient for me. And I just sit down and I have my little bookmarks. So they're little small things that I can create something in 5 minutes. And I just get the water and I put it in the paints, just like I did when I was a little kid using my Crayolas. And I paint something in 5 minutes and it has been absolutely amazing. It brings me so much joy. Sometimes my kids will join me and it is really awesome. Okay, now I'm going to share with you my favorite 5-minute habits. And they're not actually 5 minutes, they're actually no extra minutes. They're 2-for-1 habits. I'm already doing something and I'm just going to add something else in, right? So I'm already going to be driving. So I'm going to listen to a podcast. You're probably doing this right now, a 2-for-1 habit. I need to do some laundry. I'm going to listen to a podcast, or I'm going to listen to a speaker that I like. I'm going to listen to the scriptures on my phone. I'm going to catch up on my Marco Polos with my friends and listen to their Marco Polos to me. I'm going to turn something that I'm already doing into self-care. I'm going to wash my face in the morning, right? I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to take a shower anyways. I'm going to brush my teeth anyways. But if I do it with the intention of taking care of myself and connecting with God and just feeling what it feels like to be in my body, what it feels like to brush my teeth, what it feels like to wash my face, and just nourish myself. Like when I can turn it into that, that makes such a big difference. Isn't that awesome to think about, like all these things that you're already doing throughout the day, turn them into something that's helping you learn something or care for yourself. One thing that I've created is a 5-minute reset for moms. And so it's 5 minutes of me guiding you through starting out with feeling overwhelmed to going to peace. And you can do it while you're doing the dishes, while you're taking care of kids. You just pop some earbuds in or just hit play. Kids can listen to it too. If you can pause and lay down, that's even better. But if you can't, it's something that you can do right alongside all the other things you're doing. And literally all you have to do is push play. It is so easy, so calming, and it will help you feel so much better. So I will put that in the show notes, the 5-minute mom reset, and you are going to love it, and the peace that you're going to feel in just 5 minutes of listening to this. I want to end by sharing one of my favorite scriptures. By small and simple things are great things brought to pass. This is Alma chapter 37, verse 6 in the Book of Mormon. And it's so true. Even if you aren't the same faith that I am, which is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this is a true principle. By small and simple things are great things brought to pass. Just think of the birth process. You have early labor, you have active labor, and active labor is kind of preparing you for that transition. When you get to that transition part, if you've ever had an unmedicated birth, you know it is intense. It's like you get maybe 30 seconds, if that, of a break in between. But in those breaks, those can help strengthen you and build you up to be able to take care of that next piece, that really intense time. When we take these small pauses to care for ourselves alongside of our children, we're not having to take these huge long periods of time. It doesn't mean we can't plan those in, because we totally can plan in long periods of time. But when we do these short pauses, we can be strengthened, we can be lifted up, and can take care of our families in the most beautiful way that we feel so good about. Thank you for listening, and I hope you are inspired to start your own 5-minute habit soon. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend, and I will see you next time.